Hi, this is Jill here at engVid.com, and today the lesson is about interjections, and that's a very long word. What it really means is something quite short, little expressions that we make to express a particular feeling, okay? And just to say thank you, someone on our website at engVid, one of you suggested this topic, so thank you for the suggestion, and here is the lesson. So I hope you're watching, whoever it was. Right, so interjections, a short word expressing a feeling. So we'll just go through different groups of these. So, first one to start with is just, ha! Usually, if you're surprised or something has amused you, if you think something is funny, you just say, ha! Or you can say it with a different tone of voice to sound a little bit sarcastic. So, if someone has said, I had a really good job interview the other day. I think I'm going to get that job. And you say, ha. So different body language, different tone of voice. It can mean something slightly different. It's as if you're saying to that person, oh, you think you're going to get that job, do you? You're very confident. But you can just use it in one little expression, ha, and a sort of nod and a certain look on your face. So body language goes with it and tone of voice. If you put an A in front of this ha, aha, aha. So if you say aha, that is like saying, oh, you've said something really important there. Aha. Well, that is very true. Something like that. Aha. Similarly, oh ho, oh ho. Also, or if somebody says something that tells you something more about them, maybe that they didn't really want you to know. Like, oh, okay, if your friend says, oh, I didn't get up on Sunday until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And you say, oh, as if you're sort of imagining why that friend stayed in bed so long. You can use your own imagination there, but it's a sort of suggestive kind of expression. Oh. This one is rather different. It doesn't really belong with those three, but it's on the same line. If you say, wow, there's a thing called the wow factor, which is used often with property. If you're looking at somebody's house or somebody's flat or apartment and you walk in for the first time and it's so nice and so impressive, you just look round and you say, oh, wow. And I once walked into a friend's flat and they had a glass floor, and you went into their main door and you looked down and they had a basement area, a lower floor, and you walk in their front door, you look down at the floor and it's made of glass that you can see through. And I just looked down and to see their basement and I said, oh, wow, well, that's amazing. So wow is for surprise or when you're feeling really impressed by something. And the wow factor is what estate agents talk about when they are trying to sell a property. They say, this property really has the wow factor. So it's that kind of word. I think maybe this word appears in other languages in a similar meaning. But just to say that these expressions in English are not necessarily the same in other languages. So in your language, you may have different sounds, different vowel sounds probably for different things. Maybe in French, a French person might say "oh," so different sort of nasal "oh," or "oh la la." So we don't go around saying "oh la la" in this country very much, unless we're being a bit flamboyant. So these are specifically English or English speaking, either British or American, Canadian, other English speaking countries. They're not necessarily the kind of expressions you would use in your language. So you have to learn them really if you want to sound like a good English speaking person. It's good to learn these particular pronunciations. Okay, so let's move on to the next line. This one's a bit American, but we use this quite a lot now because we watch a lot of American films and so on. So if you say yay like that, yay, it's when you're really pleased that you have achieved something, or a friend has achieved something really good has happened, and it's a way of sort of celebrating. Oh, that's really good. You just say yay. Like that. Or a similar one, way, similarly, same sort of meaning. And also wahey, which is a little bit longer. They all suggest some sort of that you're pleased about something or excited about something. Okay, so next line. You can say the word well in different ways. If you're not sure what to say, if someone asks you a question, you could say it like this: well, and then you pause and you're trying to think what to say. Or maybe if someone annoys you, if somebody does something bad, like they tread on your foot or something, and then they just walk straight past and they don't say sorry, they don't apologise, they just walk straight on and say nothing. And so, well, so you say it like that, well, oh, dreadful, well. So that's another way, different ways of tone of voice, body language. It's just a sound that you make, and the way you say it carries the meaning in that particular situation. Okay. So, okay, I just said okay. And that's the next word, okay. So you know the word okay. Perhaps you use it in your language. Again, you could say it in different ways. So if a friend suggests, shall we go to lunch now? You can say, okay, in a nice sort of simple, happy way. Or if they say, oh, shall we go to lunch now? And you say, okay, as if you don't really want to go now, but because your friend wants to go, you will go with them, and you're letting them know that you're not really hungry yet, but okay, might as well go now. So the way you say it makes the difference. Or if you walk into the room and you have some work to do and there are other people there and you want to say, right, let's get started now, you can say, okay, and then let's get started on this project. Okay. So different ways of saying it. Some complete words which you can say as interjections. You can say great. Oh, great, the sun's shining. So things like that, something positive is happening. brilliant, brilliant. If someone shows you they've just baked a cake or something and it looks really nice and you want to be polite as well, you can say, oh, brilliant, brilliant. So again, it depends how you say it, but they're both positive. Great, brilliant. Okay, so now we'll have a look at some less positive examples. Oh, well, that can be either positive or negative, but just, oh, I didn't know he was here today. Or if something really bad has happened, oh. So again, different ways of saying it. Oh dear is definitely a negative expression. Oh dear. So if something bad happens, if you're wanting to sympathise with somebody, if a friend comes and says, I've lost my purse with all my money in it, oh dear, you can say it in a really sympathetic way. If the person who's trod on your foot earlier, instead of just saying, well, you can say, hey, like that. What do you think you're doing? Hey. So that is to sort of say to someone, just a minute, aren't you going to say you're sorry for doing that? And here, just a minute, just a minute. You can say that in quite a strong way. Just a minute. Aren't you going to say you're sorry for treading on my toe? Oh dear. So just a minute. Okay. In another lesson, I said, don't say what, but you can in the right context. You can. It's not good to say it if you don't understand what somebody said, but you can say it if something surprises you and you don't quite understand. If someone walks past the window in strange clothes, and you say, what? What? What's that? What? What's going on? Sort of idea, okay? If you're busy doing something and someone says something and you're not really listening and you don't really want them to keep talking to you because you're busy with something else, you can just say, and hopefully it will make them go away. You're saying, what? But you don't really want them to say it again, but you're just saying, Or if you want to agree with somebody with this, you can say, and it doesn't show a lot of interest. It's sort of designed to put them off really and make them go away because you're busy with something else. And similarly, also doesn't show a lot of interest. It's a little bit rude. You have to be quite careful how you use these. This is quite rude as well. If you go shh, you're telling someone to be quiet, shh, and usually people don't like you to do that unless you do it in a polite way, shh, 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 like that. Or this one, if you want to attract someone's attention, you can go psst, psst, like that, and they look round and psst, and you might do this to get them to come to you. So you can say something quietly to them. If you're, and again, the person who trod on my foot earlier, if I don't say, well, or, hey, just a minute, you could say, it's just a tut. It says tut-tut, but really all it is a T sound that you make, two T's, with your tongue on the roof of your mouth. When you're annoyed about something, it's very quiet, but they would probably hear it. So it's to show that you're annoyed about something that somebody has done. Okay, now if you're disgusted with something, you can say, ugh, the milk has gone sour, ugh, horrible, ugh, or yuck means the same. Yuck was a K or a CK, yuck, same pronunciation. Or even ugh, ugh, EUGH, ugh. So you make a worse looking face with ugh, okay. If you're relieved about something, if you were worried and stressed, but then suddenly everything is fine again, you can go, whoo, whoo. That's spelt like that, but it's more like, whoo, whoo. Or, phew, phew. It's the same thing. Sometimes people do that as if they're wiping the sweat off their face. Whoo, phew, if they're relieved. This one, yikes, is if something has happened surprising, but you're sort of relieved as well that you're okay. Yikes. And then finally, when people are speaking, sometimes they stop, they pause, they're not sure what to say next. So they say, and that's what the dots are for. That's the pausing afterwards. They're trying to think what to say. Okay. So I hope that is all helpful for you. There is a quiz on this on the website, engvid.com. So please go there and take the quiz, and see you again next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.